Hey, I'm Carlos with Hawk. I'm a chemist and an application development manager. I've been with Hawk for about 16 years. Hawk's a company that was founded in 1947 by a man named Clifford Hawk. And up until that point, if you wanted to do any sort of water quality analysis, whether you were working at a water plant or whether you were working at an aquarium or you were trying to test it yourself in your home, you had to be a chemist. And his idea was that, why keep it in the hands of the chemists? Let people test it themselves. And so his thought was that if you could read, you could do chemistry. And that's really the fundamentals upon which the Hawk company is based. So what I'm going to show you guys right now is one of those very simple tests that used to be really complicated and require a lot of steps and a lot of chemistry. And right now, it exists on a test strip. And this is a 5-in-1 test strip. So what we've got here are tests for total chlorine, free chlorine, alkalinity, hardness, and pH. And I've got a sample right here, so I'm going to unscrew it. If you've never done this test before, all the instructions are right here. Bear in mind that if you're going to do chlorine as well, if that's what you're interested in, you're going to need to dip it, hold it for a while, then put it back in to do the chlorine test, and I'll walk through that step for you. So right now, the first thing we're going to do is just for the bottom 3 pads, which are going to be hardness, alkalinity, and pH. So I'm just going to take this test strip, I'm going to dunk it in the water for a second, and then I'm going to hold it out, hold it level, and I'm not going to shake any of the water off of it. So I want it to be there for 30 seconds. It's going to be reacting right now for that 30-second time period. We've got hardness, which is calcium and magnesium. Hardness can impart scale. Some hardness isn't necessarily a bad thing. Alkalinity, which is on the next pad, which is the buffering capacity of water, or the acid neutralizing capacity of water. It's really nice because the more acidic something gets, the more likely it is something could start being eaten away or something. So alkalinity is a nice thing to have. And then the last pad that we're going to look at first is going to be for pH. And so that's going to be a measurement of acidity or basicity, how acidic or basic a sample is. So it's been about 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is tilt this thing down, and this is the way you read it. So these first 2 columns we're not going to worry about at the moment. We're going to dip it back in. Those are for chlorine. So this next one, I'm going to slide this up. And so now we're looking at about 50 milligrams per liter or so of hardness, or 3 grains per gallon of hardness, depending on the scale that you like to use. As I tilt it this way a little bit, now we're looking at alkalinity. So this is that acid neutralizing capacity of water. It's got less than 40 and more than 0, so it's very low alkalinity. And incidentally, the former one, the hardness was pretty low hardness too. So you've got less than 40, so maybe 20, 30. So that's not very much alkalinity at all, not a lot of neutralizing capacity in this water. And then the last one we're looking at is pH. So it looks like our pH is slightly acidic at maybe a little below a pH of 6.8. So slightly acidic, maybe in some cases that's fine. In other cases you don't want anything acidic, depending on what you're trying to do the test for and what your interests are with doing this test. So now, last thing I'm going to do is do the chlorine test. So I'm going to dip it back in, and now instead of just a dip and remove, I'm going to dip it in, swish it around for 30 seconds. You could also take this, if you were trying to measure it in tap water, you could take it and hold it under a flowing sample stream. It tends to work a little better that way, but this will work too, because sometimes you don't have a flowing sample stream like that. So I'm going to stir it around here. Stir, 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 stir. 30 seconds goes by, and then I'm going to pull it out. And again, we don't want to shake the water off of this, and I want to take it back here and put it again up against this color comparator. And so it looks like the first column, it looks like we've got about 0.5 milligrams per liter of total chlorine. And then if we look at the second column, our free chlorine is 0. If you're doing both free and total, it would be good to do 2 of these test strips and use one for free, one for total. But sometimes you'll have total, sometimes you have free, and most of the time people are interested in one or the other. So you've got a set of test strips here that'll do 5 parameters. Hawk's got a lot of different kinds of these. There's many, many different flavors, if you will, of test strips. So I've just got examples of 6 others here. There's phosphate, there's nitrate, there's borate, there's one for pools and spas that does similar things to this, but it includes bromine. And there's a whole lot of other kinds that I don't have here. So just make sure you get the right one for what you want to test. Make sure you get the right range if you know the range that you want to test for, and maybe you don't. But that's how you do a test with a 5-in-1 test strip.